What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a daytime talk show expecting a friendly chat, and instead finds himself under attack from a host who seems determined to provoke him? In just 26 seconds of one question, a celebrated guest goes from calm and collected to standing up and walking off set, leaving an entire panel speechless and a studio audience in absolute shock. This is the story of how Liam Neeson, the man known for his powerful performances and dignified presence, found himself in the middle of a television disaster that nobody saw coming. Liam Neeson arrives at the Loose Women studio on what should have been a routine morning. He's there to promote his latest film, to share some stories, to connect with the audience. The kind of appearance he's done hundreds of times before. He walks onto the set with that familiar warm smile, waves to the audience, and takes his seat among the panel. The hosts are Denise Welch, Ruth Langsford, Janet Street Porter, and Colleen Nolan. The audience claps. Everything seems normal. Everything seems fine. Denise Welch is sitting directly across from Liam, and she's the lead host for this segment. She starts with the usual pleasantries. "Liam, wonderful to have you here," she says with a big smile. Liam nods graciously. "Thank you for having me," he responds. His voice is calm, measured, professional. The audience is warm. The energy is good. Ruth Langsford jumps in next. "We're all so excited about your new film. Tell us a bit about it," she says. Liam begins to talk about the project, about the character he plays, about working with the director. He's articulate, engaging, telling stories the way only he can. The panel members are nodding along. Janet Street Porter makes a comment about how prolific he is. "You never stop working, do you?" she asks. Liam laughs. "I try to keep busy," he says. "It's what I love to do." Colleen Nolan asks him about his preparation for roles, about how he gets into character. Liam answers thoughtfully, talking about the research he does, the time he spends understanding the people he portrays. The conversation is flowing. It's pleasant. It's exactly what these morning show appearances are supposed to be. Then Denise Welch leans forward. There's a shift in her expression. Something changes in her tone. "Liam," she says, and there's an edge to her voice now. "I want to ask you about something a bit more personal." Liam keeps his composure. "Of course," he says politely. "You've been very open in the past about some controversial topics," Denise continues. "And I think our viewers would be interested to know where you stand on certain issues." Liam shifts slightly in his seat. His smile doesn't fade, but there's a wariness in his eyes now. "I'm happy to discuss my work," he says carefully. "But surely your personal views inform your work, don't they?" Denise presses. She's not letting it go. "I mean, you can't separate the artist from the person, can you?" Ruth Langsford glances at Denise with a look that suggests maybe they should move on, but Denise isn't paying attention. She's locked onto Liam now. "I think my work speaks for itself," Liam responds. His tone is still polite, still measured, but there's a firmness creeping in. "I prefer to let the films do the talking." "Oh, come on," Denise says, and she actually laughs. It's not a friendly laugh. It's dismissive. That's such a typical actor answer. You come on these shows, you promote your films, but you never really say anything, do you? The audience goes quiet. You can feel the tension building. Janet Street Porter looks uncomfortable. Colleen Nolan is staring at her lap. "I'm not sure what you're asking me," Liam says. His voice is calm, but you can hear the edge now. He's not happy with where this is going. "I'm asking you to be honest," Denise says. She's leaning forward even more now, her elbows on the table. "I'm asking you to actually engage with us instead of giving us these rehearsed answers." "Denise," Ruth interjects gently. "Maybe we should—" "No, Ruth," Denise cuts her off. "I think our audience deserves to hear from the real Liam Neeson, not the Hollywood version." Liam takes a breath. You can see him trying to maintain his composure. I'm being as honest as I can be, he says. I came here to talk about my film. Right, the film, Denise says, rolling her eyes. The film that's just another action movie where you play the same character you always play. How many times can you do the same thing before it gets old? The audience gasps. Even the other panelists look shocked. Ruth's mouth falls open. Janet looks at Denise like she's lost her mind. Colleen puts her hand over her mouth. That's quite a statement, Liam says. His jaw is tight now. I'm sorry you feel that way about my work. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Denise continues. She's on a roll now, and she doesn't seem to care about the fallout. You've made a career out of playing the same tough guy over and over. Where's the range? Where's the artistry? Denise, that's not fair. Colleen finally speaks up. Liam's had an incredible career. I'm allowed to have an opinion, Denise snaps at Colleen. Then she turns back to Liam. And I'm allowed to express it. Of course you are, Liam says. His voice is steady, but his hands are gripping the armrests of his chair. But there's a difference between having an opinion and being disrespectful. Oh, so now I'm being disrespectful? Denise laughs again. Because I'm not fawning all over you like everyone else does? Because I'm actually challenging you? You're not challenging me, Liam says. You're insulting me. Ruth tries to jump in again. Let's take a moment and... No, Ruth. Let him speak, Denise interrupts. Let's hear what he has to say when someone doesn't kiss his feet. That's enough, Liam says. His voice is louder now. Not shouting, but commanding. I don't know what your problem is, but I don't have to sit here and be treated this way. My problem? Denise leans back and crosses her arms. My problem is that celebrities like you come on shows like this and expect us to just lob softball questions at you. Well, I'm not going to do that. Nobody's asking you to lob softball questions, Liam responds. But there's a way to have a conversation without being rude. I'm not being rude, Denise insists. I'm being real. You're being hostile, Janet Street Porter suddenly says. She's been quiet, but now she's speaking up. And it's uncomfortable to watch. Oh, please. Denise waves her hand dismissively at Janet. Don't start with me. Liam stands up. The movement is sudden, and it catches everyone off guard. The audience gasps again. Ruth stands up too, instinctively. Liam, please, she says. I'm sorry, Liam says, looking at Ruth, then at Janet, then at Colleen. But I won't sit here and be disrespected like this. This isn't an interview. This is an ambush. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Denise says, still sitting, still with that smug expression on her face. You can't handle a little criticism? Criticism is fine, Liam says. He's unclipping his microphone now. But what you're doing isn't criticism. It's just mean-spirited. Liam, we can work this out, Ruth pleads. She looks genuinely distressed. Please, sit back down. I appreciate that, Ruth, Liam says, and his voice softens when he addresses her. But I think it's best if I leave. You're really going to walk out? Denise asks. She sounds almost amused. Over this? I'm leaving because I have more respect for myself than to sit here and be treated like this, Liam says. He's looking directly at Denise now. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that a show like this would allow one of its hosts to behave this way toward a guest. Oh, spare me the lecture, Denise says. But Liam isn't listening anymore. He's already handing his microphone to a producer who's rushed onto the set. The audience doesn't know what to do. Some people are clapping, supporting Liam. Others are just sitting in stunned silence. Ruth is trying to salvage the situation. Let's take a quick break, she says to the camera. But her voice is shaky. She's clearly upset by what's happening. Liam walks toward the edge of the set. Janet Street Porter calls after him. Liam, I'm so sorry about this, she says. He turns back briefly and nods at her. It's not your fault, he says. Then he looks at Colleen. Or yours. Colleen looks like she might cry. We didn't know this was going to happen, she says. I know, Liam replies. Denise is still sitting at the table, arms crossed, looking defiant. This is ridiculous, she mutters. Absolutely ridiculous. What's ridiculous? Janet turns on her. Is the way you just treated a guest. What were you thinking? I was thinking that I'm tired of these celebrities getting special treatment, Denise shoots back. Special treatment? Ruth's voice rises. She rarely gets angry, but she's angry now. You were attacking him, Denise. From the moment you started asking questions, you were attacking him. I was doing my job, Denise insists. Your job is to conduct an interview, not to berate someone, Ruth says. Liam is almost off the set now. A producer is trying to talk to him, probably asking him to reconsider, to come back. But he shakes his head. I'm done, he says firmly. I'm not coming back. The camera operators don't know where to point their cameras. One is on Liam as he exits. Another is on the panelists, who are now in a heated discussion among themselves. The audience is watching all of this unfold in real time, and they can't believe what they're seeing. We need to go to commercial, a voice says from off camera. It's probably the director or a producer. Now. But the cameras are still rolling for a few more seconds, just long enough to capture Denise saying, Good riddance. He couldn't handle a real conversation anyway. Ruth whips around. How can you say that? She demands. You just drove off one of the most respected actors in the industry because you decided to have a go at him. He's too sensitive, Denise says with a shrug. No, Colleen finally speaks up, her voice stronger now. You were out of line, completely out of line. Janet nods in agreement. That was embarrassing to be a part of, she says. I've never seen anything like that. Oh, please, Denise rolls her eyes. You're all overreacting. We're not overreacting, Ruth says. You created a hostile environment for a guest who came here in good faith. That's unacceptable. The cameras finally cut. The show goes to commercial, but the damage is done. Liam Neeson is gone. He's left the building. He's not coming back. In the studio, the three remaining panelists are still confronting Denise. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Ruth asks. Her face is red. She's genuinely upset. This is going to be everywhere. This is going to make us all look terrible. I don't care, Denise says. I stand by what I said. That's your problem, Janet says. You don't care. You didn't care about how Liam felt. You didn't care about how uncomfortable you were making everyone. You just cared about making your point. And what point was that exactly? Colleen asks. Because from where I was sitting, it looked like you were just being cruel for the sake of being cruel. I was trying to have a real conversation, Denise argues. No, you weren't, Ruth counters. You were trying to provoke him, and you succeeded. Congratulations. The commercial break ends. The show comes back on air. Ruth is the one who addresses the camera. Her voice is professional, but you can hear the strain. We apologize for that interruption, she says. Unfortunately, our guest Liam Neeson has left the show. The audience murmurs. Some people boo. It's not clear if they're booing Liam for leaving or booing the situation that made him leave. We'll continue with the rest of our show, Ruth says, but her heart clearly isn't in it. Coming up next, we have... But nobody's really listening. The energy in the studio has completely changed. What was supposed to be a fun, lighthearted morning show has turned into something ugly. The other panelists are barely speaking to Denise. When they do, it's terse and cold. During the next commercial break, a producer comes onto the set. They're talking to Denise in hushed but clearly urgent tones. She's shaking her head, still defiant. I'm not apologizing, she says, loud enough for the others to hear. I didn't do anything wrong. You absolutely did, Ruth says. She's normally so diplomatic, so careful with her words, But she's done being careful. What you did was unprofessional and unkind, and now we all have to deal with the fallout. Then deal with it, Denise says coldly. Janet leans toward Colleen and whispers something. Colleen nods. They both look upset, disappointed, angry. This isn't how any of them thought this day would go. When the show comes back from commercial, they try to continue as normal. They move on to other topics, other discussions, but the tension is palpable. The chemistry that usually exists between the panelists is gone. Denise is isolated at the table. The others are barely looking at her. Ruth tries to keep things moving. She introduces the next segment, asks questions, tries to engage the audience. But even she keeps glancing at the empty chair where Liam had been sitting just minutes ago. It's a visual reminder of what happened, of how quickly things fell apart. Janet makes a comment about respect and professionalism during one segment. It's clearly directed at Denise, though she doesn't say her name. I think it's important to remember, Janet says, that when we have guests on this show, they're trusting us. They're coming here to share their time with us and with the audience, and we have a responsibility to treat them with respect. The audience claps loudly at this. They know what she's really saying. They know who she's talking about. Denise doesn't respond. She just sits there with her arms crossed, looking annoyed. Colleen tries to lighten the mood with a story about her family, but even that falls flat. The audience is polite, but their hearts aren't in it. Everyone is still thinking about what happened earlier, about the confrontation, about Liam walking out. The show eventually ends. The credits roll. The audience files out. But the conversation is far from over. In the studio, once the cameras are off, the panelists have it out properly. I can't believe you, Ruth says to Denise. I genuinely can't believe you did that. Why do you care so much? Denise asks. It's just a show. It's not just a show, Colleen says. This is our reputation. This is how people see us. And now, they're going to see us as the show that ambushed Liam Neeson. Good, Denise says. Let them think that. At least it's interesting. It's not interesting, Janet says sharply. It's disastrous. Do you understand that? This is a disaster. You're all being dramatic, Denise insists. But they're not being dramatic. They're being realistic. Because they know that this moment, this confrontation, this walkout, is going to define the show for a long time to come. It's going to be what people remember. Not the good interviews, not the fun segments, not the important conversations they've had over the years. This is what will stick. I hope it was worth it, Ruth says quietly. I hope whatever point you were trying to make was worth all of this. Denise doesn't answer. For the first time, she looks uncertain. Maybe the reality is starting to sink in. Maybe she's beginning to realize that she went too far. But she doesn't apologize. She doesn't take it back. She just gathers her things and leaves the set. The other three panelists stand there in silence for a moment. Then Janet speaks. What a mess, she says. Complete mess, Colleen agrees. Ruth just shakes her head. She looks exhausted, defeated. I need to go call my agent, she says, and probably prepare a statement. They all go their separate ways, leaving the studio empty except for the crew who are breaking down the set. The lights dim. The cameras are covered, but the impact of what happened remains. It hangs in the air like smoke, impossible to ignore, impossible to forget. Somewhere outside the studio, Liam Neeson is probably in a car, heading back to his hotel or to the airport. He came to do a job, to promote his film, to connect with an audience. Instead, he found himself in a situation that no guest should ever have to endure. He was attacked, belittled, and disrespected by someone who seemed to have an agenda that had nothing to do with him or his work, and he did the only thing he could do. He stood up for himself. He refused to be treated that way. He walked out with his dignity intact, leaving behind a host who had revealed herself to be unprofessional and mean-spirited, and a show that would have to reckon with the consequences of allowing it to happen. The audience who watched it unfold will remember it. The panelists who witnessed it will remember it. And Liam Neeson, the man who came in expecting a pleasant conversation and left after being pushed to his breaking point, will certainly remember it. This is what happens when a host forgets that their job is to facilitate conversation, not to create conflict. This is what happens when someone mistakes cruelty for honesty, aggression for authenticity. This is what happens when a line is crossed that should never have been approached in the first place. And in just 26 seconds of that first provocative question, everything changed. The tone shifted. The atmosphere darkened. And what should have been a routine morning show appearance became one of the most dramatic television moments in recent memory. Not because of anything Liam Neeson did, but because of everything Denise Welch chose to do. She chose confrontation over conversation. She chose hostility over hospitality. She chose to attack a guest who had done nothing to deserve it. And he chose not to stand for it. He chose to walk away. And in doing so, he showed more class and dignity than she displayed in the entire encounter.